Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope that you have watched our first segment and are looking forward to the next set of questions we have. So in the first segment we covered more about like what the itinerary would look like for the trip, where it all began, how it started, where we are now, what the athletes are like, and we stay in Rotterdam and the Netherlands and then in Paris, France. So now we're going to talk a little bit about cost. And tell me a little bit about what the cost doesn't cover.
Yeah, first we are really blessed with some really clever strategies. I'm going to get into the other piece in a minute, but we're blessed with some really clever strategies that keep the cost down and the out-of-pocket away from the families.
You're taking my punchline, by the way. That was going to be my next question.
So we're going to get to there first then.
Yeah, okay.
So anyhow, we 90% of our athletes go with no family funds invested, and 70% of our parents. It takes a little tiny bit of effort, but by and large, a little bit of effort really pays some dividends. On the side of what it doesn't pay for is pretty simple. Getting to the gateway city, it doesn't matter whether you're from California or Virginia, you've got to get to the East Coast, and every fare across America is a little bit different. Not very expensive. I know in Columbus, Ohio, where we are, it's $100 round trip. St. Louis is $150, Denver is $175, and so forth. So round trip to getting to the gateway city is one thing we don't cover simply because we have athletes from California to Long Island. Secondly, we don't do lunch and supper. It's not really a diet plan, but oddly enough, we don't do lunch and supper simply because we are about 10 train stops away from where we play, so we can't call timeout during the games. And then, of course, in Paris, we can't ring the dinner bell over a city of 17 million. It's impossible.
To say also, they're mostly small boutique type of restaurants that it would be impossible to fit even one team plus their parents entirely in a small restaurant.
Yeah, they turn their tables over one time a night. So when you go in there, they're expecting you to stay the entire night, which is a novel attempt to keep things calm and so forth. America, we're in such a rush, but over there, not quite the same. Mm-hmm. But that being said, the breakfast we do have is a monster breakfast. If you want to eat it for 2 or 4 hours, you can eat there, and it's big, so you're not going to be starving for calories if you wish to eat it all at breakfast time. Thirdly, we don't do travel insurance, and the reason we don't probably is more on me because I don't buy travel insurance myself. I'm a pretty multi-million mile flyer. Hard to say that. Anyhow, and I've never bought it before, but we kind of leave it in the hands of the travelers to buy that. Normally, a parent and an athlete of the age of what they would be is maybe between 175 and 225. We give you ideas of where to buy it. We don't sell it, but it's kind of like your thing that you can deny or grab. But so those are the 3 things we don't cover.
Okay, so let's talk about the Gateway City just a little bit more, because that might be some confusing for some people. Do they change every year, or is it every year the same Gateway City, or how does that all work out?
I think it all has to do with how we can get as many athletes from a particular city that actually flies directly to our destination, which is Amsterdam or Schiphol's airport. If we have enough going from Dallas or enough going from California, they end up naming that a gateway city. We can't always rely on it because it does change from year to year, and it's their choice, not ours. So generally speaking, I can tell you that it's East Coast, almost always, but on occasion they have moved the gateway cities to other locations depending on how many athletes we have coming from there. So,
and the nice thing about that is that we can help them with getting to the gateway city as opposed to them buying a round trip ticket themselves from their hometown to the gateway city. That's always a lot more expensive.
Always is going to be more expensive. Somehow our carriers want to make money on the transatlantic route, so they fly us to the gateway cities way less expensive than you can buy it otherwise. So mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned before a little bit, and I didn't know if you needed to go into more detail about, do we have families who go for no cost, who come out of pocket with no money?
Yeah,
or how does that work? Do we help them find what they're looking for?
Yeah, how we do this is at one point we're going to converse with these travelers or potential travelers, and I'm going to send them an email with 10 strategies on there. There's a couple of the strategies on there that you can work for 4 or 5, 6 hours a week for 90 days, and you'll generate about $4,000. There is probably 6 or 8 strategies on that sheet that you can use, and maybe 2 or 3 hours a week for 2 to 6 weeks, and you gain between $1,500 and $2,500. So there's many, many ways to do this. It takes a little bit of effort, but the reward is just dynamic. So yes, there are so many ways to do this and not have to burden the family.
Have families gone for free before?
Absolutely. Every year, there are families that go for free. Some, very few choose not to, but I would say every family has either very little out of pocket, or they have it all paid for through their efforts.
Okay. What if a parent has air miles, or the dad or someone they know is a pilot and they can get their ticket for free? How do we handle that?
Midsummer, about when we get the travel itinerary done and cost in check prior to leaving in January, they give us the cost of what it's going to be. It could be $750, $1,500, or whatever they claim our cost will be for that particular traveler. That comes off the top.
Okay.
So if the fee is X and we have a $1,000 flight fee, it comes off the top. So that can happen. So if they have miles to turn in or something, that can work easily too.
Do the teams generally fly together? Do we try to get every team to be together, or is that an impossibility with multiple teams across the states?
We have, getting into two subjects here, we go in 3 or 4 airlines, or 3 or 4 flights, maybe one airline arriving different times, and so we can't get them all together because we come from everywhere. But the other thing this rolls into is one time a year we do try to practice.
Okay.
This coming year it's in Cincinnati, so it's a little bit far for some, close for some others, but we let them know well ahead of time, so if they want to come out and meet their team the first time, the parents want to see who they're playing with or who they're traveling with. So that is the only time that we can physically get together. Not even at the airport can we get all the teams together at one time.
Okay, well, that sounds exciting. Tell me a little bit about the weather in Paris and in Rotterdam while we're there.
It's interesting. It's really high on the latitude lines. It's like high like Halifax, but the waters kind of keep the climate temperate. The English Channel keeps the Netherlands temperate. It can be sometimes as mid 30s to upper 30s to in the 50s sometimes. It's a matter of what the day brings. I think 2 times in our entire 20-plus year history has it snowed, and it's been very, very, very little bit, like a dusting of snow, and everyone loves it there. We're not too fond of it, but everyone loves it there. But generally speaking, it's pretty moderate. It's a little bit more like I would guess Tennessee to be.
Okay. And what does it always do there?
Oh, it rains quite a little bit. Every day you're going to expect rain. It's not like maybe in America where you have rain the whole day long, but there's going to be a pop-up somewhere. But that's obviously why they're the tulip country of the world, because they get fed well.
Lots of rain. Yes, that's true. So what take away from here? What should a family do after seeing this and deciding, I want to maybe take the next step? What's that look like?
The next step is actually contacting me and letting me know you're interested. We do a phone call. Then from that point we go into I give you the information I need to get you started, and the information I need is simply data information so we can get you on our travel list. And from there, that's the beginning of the next step of going aboard or coming aboard.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you now. And if you have any other questions, certainly please send them our way. We would be happy to answer anything. And we hope that you'll join us on this trip. It's a remarkable trip of a lifetime, and we hope that we'll see you.
Thanks so much.